Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of story time. That's right, you guys. I thought I would just let you guys know what's been happening here over the past few months and why I've actually been so quiet and struggling to actually get any artwork done, because my wedding is actually coming up in a few months. If you guys haven't noticed, at least in my last video, I did talk about designing the programs for my wedding and things like that. But before I was able to even start doing that, there was a really big bump in the road, which was very unexpected. So I'm going to tell you guys a bit about that while you watch me paint this alley cat here in my Flying Tiger of Copenhagen sketchbook that I had bought. Now, I have to give you forewarning here. The paper, of course, did buckle because it is not meant for watercolors, but I just wanted to do this in the sketchbook for some reason. I didn't want to do it on a proper piece of paper, so you'll just have to forgive the fact that the paper does buckle. But in the end, it still comes out to be a kind of cute picture, so. But let's begin story time. So about 2 months back, actually closer to 3 months back, we were supposed to do this thing called the impediment to marriage check, which almost every country around the world does anyway. But I had never thought of it, obviously, because I'd never been married before and I'd never been told to do this before. And so we went and tried to do it online here in Finland like we're supposed to do. But just a little bit of background here for you real quick, so you can stay on track with the story. I was born in South Africa, and I also have Belgian citizenship, but I lived in the US for about 10 years from early teens into early adulthood. So I had multiple nationalities and different backgrounds of where I'd lived all this time before moving to Finland. And I was already 22 years old by the time I moved here to Finland, and I am now obviously already in my 30s, and our wedding is coming. So now, fast forward back to about 2.5 months ago when I was supposed to start doing this. We went online to do it, which there is a very quick and easy way to do it here in Finland online, through the civil registry system, where they just check that you have not been, currently married or have any unresolved marriage issues or anything like that. So there's no polygamy or any legal things stopping you from marrying anyone else. It's a very simple procedure, like I said. And neither one of us thought very much of it. We went online to do it. My fiance had filled his in. Everything went smooth. It was my turn. And then the form just wouldn't go through, and I wondered what was going on. Turns out, when I moved to Finland, when I was registered here, I had gone to the civil registry, actually to the magistrate's office here, which is where you register yourself when you move here, with my au pair mom, and we had filled in some forms to register me here, at which time I was fairly certain that I had put myself into the system as being unmarried. But apparently, even, they say, quote unquote, even if I had done that, they couldn't accept it because it wasn't a legal document stating from any of my other nationalities registries that I am unmarried. Therefore, they ignored it. Fast forward a few years from when I moved here and I got my citizenship, somebody was supposed to ask me that. So that was 2 years ago now that I got my Finnish citizenship. Nobody asked me to go and get this one specific paper stating my marital status as unmarried or whatever it might be to put into the registry here. So when I tried to fill in this impediment to marriage form online, since my civil status was listed as unknown, and nobody had bothered to let me know that I was supposed to update it, which immigration was supposed to tell me, but didn't, it couldn't go through. So I just thought, oh, this is easy. I can fix this pretty quick. I'll call to the magistrate office in the morning, and I'm sure somebody just made a mistake. Called them the next morning. Nope, not simple as that. So they said that, yeah, because I became a Finnish citizen, I would have had to come and properly register my civil status before marriage, and nobody had warned me of this. Thankfully, everybody there was very understanding and kind, and they were saying that they could see that I am a Finnish citizen and that everything so far that they can see would not prevent me from getting married. But I had to quickly go to the Belgian embassy and get this form stating my civil status, so my marital status. So they said, call the embassy, and all that I would need on there is a stamp from the embassy stating that I am unmarried or single, whichever the case may be. They would accept it. We could fill out the form, and off we go. I called the Belgian embassy up right there and then, And then there the complications begin. So the Belgian embassy tells me that they cannot give out the paper from the civil registry in Belgium stating my marital status. It is just not legally allowed for situations like this. No matter how many times I asked, the answer stayed the same. And I was very frustrated, so I explained to them that the magistrate's office needed it. And so the lovely lady that worked there, I mean everybody at the embassy, all embassies involved and Finland's magistrate office, they were all very kind. I have to make that clear. Nobody here was mean to me or unhelpful. But the lady at the embassy especially went the extra mile for me. Her name is Mari and she's wonderful. And she called their foreign affairs office basically, and the Ministry for Foreign Affairs from Belgium, and asked if they could make an exception. And unfortunately the answer was no. So she called me back very disappointed that she couldn't make that happen. And she even then put me through to the ambassador. And but that came a bit later. First she asked me if I could then call South Africa's embassy and ask them to get a hold of that paper. And so I gave them a call, and their answer was 4 months minimum for that to be able to come back from South Africa. That they couldn't do it there at the embassy for me. It had to come back from South Africa. So that was not an option. I called the embassy back right away, the Belgian embassy, and explained the situation. And they were very understanding. So the lady, Mari, again, very quickly called back to the magistrate's office here in Finland for me and explained the situation, that I had no other options but to use a specific paper that the Belgian embassy had created for just these purposes, which is their very own impediment to marriage document. And so after going back and forth a few times with the people working at the magistrate's office, they agreed to accept the paper. So we thought, that's the end of the big battle there. We've won. We can move on now, right? Wrong. So while the Belgian embassy was busy getting the documents ready for me, they simply requested that I get a few documents ready, which were simple enough, but then I went down the list and they asked me for my birth certificate. Remember guys, I was born in South Africa. They had forgotten that fact and thought that I was born in Belgium. So then everybody was in a panic because any and all documents, as you remember, coming from South Africa would take 4 months, and my wedding at that point was in 3. So that wasn't going to be an option. So then lovely Mari connected me with the ambassador himself at the embassy so we could have a chat about my situation, and he tried to look through my documents that he could see and think of anything that he could do to try and help the process along, but unfortunately he couldn't see any. So in the end he said something that stuck in my mind after I hung up, and I remembered that my parents must have registered my birth certificate when I was a baby in order for me to get my Belgian citizenship, because I got it because of the fact that my father is a Belgian. So my parents then, when I spoke to them about the situation, my mom remembered that they had a document stating just that they had this document stating that my birth certificate is registered in Brussels. And I even had a scanned copy of that. So I sent that to the embassy and they said, yes, this will help you get a hold of the copy of the birth certificate from Belgium rather than from South Africa. And they said it would take about 10 days, 10 working days. It ended up taking about 15. And there was a lot of language barriers here because despite the fact that, you know, the UN capital is there in Brussels, they don't actually speak a whole lot of English at the Brussels City Registry, which was very surprising. But they at least understood my Dutch well enough from my emails to know what I needed, my copy of my birth certificate with the apostille, the stamp of legal approval, that it is actually authentic. And it didn't arrive in 10 days. I was crying from stress thinking my wedding wasn't going to happen, but instead it came in 15 days. And then it was the mad rush to go and get the documents filled out at the Belgian embassy in Helsinki, which that went really smoothly because they were well prepared for me. And then finally, my fiance and I had to go to the magistrate's office here in Finland to go and sign the forms and make sure that everything was filled out properly. But now we can finally get married, you guys. So that was my very long and complicated story, and I had to cut quite a few corners here because this is such a long story. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed watching this painting as well, and I hope to see you guys back on my channel later. Alright guys, bye!